Rift of Nations, session 31. We left off right before some combat. So how I do these is this is a breakdown from the DM perspective of what went down in my most recent campaign session. And also the group has finally named themselves the Dream Team. And that does sound very meta, but it is also absolutely appropriate with all the dream stuff going on and tapping into dreams and nightmares and all this kind of stuff. I thought it was absolutely perfect. So anyway, they finally named themselves. 31 sessions in, they named themselves. Thanks, guys. I think that might be a record for the longest a group has gone without naming themselves. So anyway, what I thought was going to happen and then what actually happened. So what I thought was going to happen was a combat. All right, cool. And prepared this big combat that I was probably planning to be about 6 rounds or so, 5-6 rounds, which is a longer combat. Don't have a lot of those. Usually combats are 3 to 4 rounds. So I was trying to all right, cool. That's kind of, I think about rounds in my head whenever I do things like that. So it was going to be a big combat. It was a 5-on-5 with the 5 players versus 5 of the bad guys, one of which being a mind control specialist who's the only true boss because he's mind controlling these other 4 who are previous allies of theirs. So in session 4 or so, they had some allies that had gone missing and oh my God, that's them and they're fighting them. That's crazy. So, yeah, it was 5-on-5, but at the very beginning, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Time out myself. So what I thought was going to happen is have this big combat go. And at the end of the combat, they're going to dive into these ruins and find a big group, a huge room of like 20 plus guards. And then they're going to have to fight through that in this big skill challenge. And then we'd end the session there. Okay, cool. So let's see what actually happened. And here's my notes, right? So session start, we did some flashbacks where I set some more foreshadowing stuff of some things here. I each gave them a magic item based on the last, if you saw a session 30 breakdown, those magic items I had to make up on the spot, right? These were the magic items that I gave them those. And then I was like, all right. And then I gave my recap. So that was a little flashback. Tidy up some stuff. We got back into it like, all right. And I gave the recap of you got me here, you got here, and everything's set up. And now, boom, hit the combat music and we're in here. Here's the combat. There's the main villain stuff he's got going on. The other four NPCs, the former allies of theirs, of what they got going on. And it's super simple. These are notes behind my Dungeon Master screen. I wrote down, I transcribed them from here to pieces of paper. I like running things physically in front of me, like on printouts or on paper, depending on if it's something that me and the crew made from all the DC playbooks that I have over on Patreon and stuff, and on my website and all the things we make. I have either printed out those types of things, make little notes on them, or physically on super terribly handwritten paper, do it myself there. So this was the gist of that, and then this is the post-combat stuff, and them diving into the ruins. But anyway, what happened in this combat was action economy is the words of this. And this was something that made me really nervous to play around with because this mind control dude, all he did, he didn't attack a single person. He mind controlled people, and his action was that he could take an action of someone else. His bonus action was trying to do a hold person, reflavored to be a sleep situation, and a possession. It was a 1-round hold person that he could possess them on their turn. So if they failed to save, not only did were stunned for a round, he got to act through them for 1 round. So it was basically a 1-round hold person, but it was a 1-round dominate person, I guess you could say. So that was really interesting. He did that as a bonus action, and then his action was acting through others, and he had legendary actions. Super interesting little character here. But at the beginning of this, before any of this happened, I sent Odin a text message, the player of Odin. I sent Storm a text message, and I was like, hey dude, roll me 5 d20s and tell me them in order. And he's like, okay. And those were 5 of his possession save checks, because this bad guy is able to possess others, and he was going to try and possess the 5 players, right? He would know immediately who has the weakest mind, and that is Odin. He's dealing with lycanthropy. He's trying to control it, and he's a weak target, right? So I targeted Odin. He rolled 5 d20s, and he rolled like a low, and then a 19, right? So for 3 rounds, he was going to be possessed and then finally save. And that was kind of how I ruled it. But it'd be super bad of me as a dungeon master to throw out a combat where one of my players is possessed for 3 rounds. That's terrible. right? Please don't ever do that, Dungeon Masters, to your players. Don't possess them for 3 rounds and be like, oh yeah, you're possessed this turn. You're going to attack this and do this and that. You're not playing. Sorry, sit down. You're not playing. So I had a dream sequence he was playing. He was back in the spot from his backstory. He's trying to save his mom. There's a moment in his backstory. He left his mom and he came back and she'd been stabbed and she died in his arms. And could he go back and could he change that in some way? Should he relive that moment? Could he see what happened? Could he learn more? So I put him back, and every round that he was possessed for, he had a little mini game he was playing one-on-one with me. I was like, what are you doing? You see your mom and she asked you to do it. And so he was able to relive part of his backstory and learn some more information. And it turns out the person who stabbed his mom, because he was there and he was able to see stuff that he wasn't before, because he was almost like, imagine if you had something from your past that you were in a dream of and you're having a dream of that, but you could change stuff and you could be in places that you weren't before. And he saw the person who stabbed his mom was the ascended one, was this bad guy that they're fighting. He was the one that did it. And he's like, oh my God, this is the guy that killed my mom. I just got chills, right? And he snaps out, and there's this moment he has within the dream where he like goes back and forth and he stops him from stabbing. He like saves his mom within this dream. Now she's still, it doesn't change what actually happened in the real world, but he saved her in his dream, and he snaps out of it and breaks free from this possession he had. But another cool thing is while he was possessed, he was hasted. He had haste and he had some other buffs on him to make him stronger, right? And while he was stronger, he was able to do some crazy stuff. But once he snapped out of it, he still had all these buffs and he could do some crazy stuff. His movement speed was crazy. He had extra attacks all over the place. It was nuts. So anyway, the brief overview of this fight was bad. It looked bad at the beginning because it's 5-on-5, right? 1 mind control and 4 mind controlled NPCs, like the big boss guy, and then 5 players. But at the very beginning, Odin was mind controlled, and so now it's 6 players to 4. Not very good. And then during it, he would like stun and mind control one of these players, and it was not looking very good. And at the very beginning of the round, Odin and Q were like wrestled up and tangled with each other, which left Clara alone with 2 people. And then they double attacked her 2-on-1, and she was looking really low. And then Darius was trying to save everybody on the outside, but everybody else was inside of a building. So things weren't looking good. Things were not looking good. But there's 2 turning points. One, Staten the Rogue, there's this NPC bad guy possessed person rogue, came in to do a big huge sneak attack stab, rolled with advantage and everything. I rolled a 4 and a 1, and this was that advantage, so I took the 4, still missed, and that would have been a huge hit on Clara, who might have taken her out. She was low enough to where and it was enough damage. It was a big hit. It would have taken her out, but she dodged it and didn't get taken down. So that was that was huge, and everyone was rolling really bad. So that was the turning moment right there of like, oh wow, okay, cool. And then Darius gave her fly and she flew up. And if y'all remember from 2 sessions ago, Clara is the dream champion. She's the chosen one of the dreamers, and she is able to see, and she could look out and she could sense that these 4 people had something going on in their minds, and there's something going. She could see into the dream realm in this way. And she's like, I want to reach out and try and break that. I was like, oh, okay, yes, here we go. And she reaches out to Staten the Rogue, who just tried to stab her, and she frees him from the mind control. She made a check for it and all that kind of stuff. She frees him. Now the action economy is starting to switch, and now on every single one of Clara's turns, she's trying to reach out. And then Darius knows he can mess that with dream stuff. He gets a dream crystal from his bag that he using in a creative way, and hits the person in the forehead with it, like these dream crystals have been used multiple times. Not in this way, but he uses the magic item in a creative way, saves another one of the NPCs. So now it was like 6-4, and now it's turned to 4-6. Like it's 6 for the good guys and 4 for the bad guys, and it just keeps happening down to where it's literally everyone versus 1. And he tries to leave, he's getting away, and it's Odin's turn. And it all just worked out so beautifully. Darius used some wind to kind of get him there. Clara was freeing everybody's minds. Q got possessed at the last second. He's starting to fight and protect and defend things, which was another curveball. And then Odin, the person who killed his mom and his backstory, he just witnessed it, saved her in real life, or saved her in the dream, and now in real life, he goes and gets his revenge, catches him, and says some epic shit to him, and then takes him out. So that was really cool to see that moment for his character. And then takes him out. He's done. Combat's over. And then they dived into the ruins. They worked their way through. And then to end on a note that I didn't think was going to happen, they opened the door and there's like 15 guards. And it was Ivar who opened the door. I was like, what do you say? And he's like, so it was 15, and he actually span it. He's in a really cool way. He's like, yeah, we just came here from the Ascended One sent us here. He's coming. And what's funny is the Ascended One is very feared and all these things. And I was like, okay, hold up. Before I go and see if this is possible, give me a persuasion check at disadvantage. DC's 15, right? Didn't think he was going to be able to hit that. He has like a +1 or something to persuasion. And I was like, there's no way. And then he rolls exactly a 15. I was like, oh my gosh, y'all aren't out of the woods yet, but at least they're not attacking you guys right now. Okay, let's see how this goes. And we kept going with it. And then Darius came into the picture and was like saying some stuff. And he said some stuff that I was like, man, wow, are they going to do this? He persuasion checked to 24. Wow. Okay. Wow. And deception and all that kind of stuff. So then I was like, all right, here we go. And they're scrambling, they're around there, the story, and they diffused a fight versus 20 or so guards, and they're diffusing it right now. I was like, it's going to come down to this last roll. I'm sorry, guys, but there has to be one more check here. If you get this third one, the DC's 20. If you get it, y'all have just bypassed this entire thing. And let's see what happens. So Darius rolls another persuasion check, 20. And nails it on the nose on the DC again, 20. And they convince all the guards that the Ascended One's coming. He's pissed because things aren't the way they should be, and y'all all messed up. He's like, y'all forgot to like did y'all forget? Oh my god, he's pissed. We'll just wait. We'll let him explain. And like we're not, and like they wouldn't say anything, so they couldn't say wrong stuff. They're like, we'll just let him tell you guys because y'all, this is too much. And then so they're all scrambling around, they all leave. And it was I did not think they were going to diffuse that fight, but they totally did, and that was really cool. So they are now about to delve down into the ruins, deep down into the ruins of this fallen nation, all messing with memory magic to release everyone's memories back into the world and rescue and save the white dragon, the dreaming drake at the bottom underneath the city of Sanctuary where all of the bad stuff is going down. So we'll see what happens next time. Stay creative, think outside the box. Thanks for joining me on these. These are really fun. Peace.